PRAGMATA is Capcom's latest title set to release this April of 2026, but even for those who have been following the game since its initial reveal in 2020, you still might have more questions than answers. As it turns out, Capcom has tried to solve that problem somewhat by giving us a demo to hold us over until the proper release, so naturally I had to give it a shot. And after trying it out more than a few times, I'm starting to think that some of that confusion might just be on purpose, because I can't stop thinking about PRAGMATA. Now before we go any further, I want to be clear that this video is not a full review, nor is it my verdict on PRAGMATA as a whole. The game hasn't actually been released, and I do look at the demo as sort of a morsel of what's yet to come. I'm making this video as a reflection piece of sorts, where we can take a look at what the PRAGMATA Sketchbook Demo communicates or doesn't, and how holding back what it chooses to hide from us has only caused me to become more curious. We'll be talking about the gameplay, the looks and feels of it all, and whether PRAGMATA's vagueness is a critical flaw, or if it's Capcom making the most out of intent with uncertainty. So in the demo, you jump right into the fray as Hugh, tasked with protecting Diana, a young android doing her taxes. We don't get very much in the way of story context here, but what's clear is that we must protect the little one, and still with a sense of urgency right from the get-go. With our basic movement and shooting options, we have access to thrusters, which allow us to sprint, dodge, and boost jump. You can hold that jump to slow the descent. Now, while you do have infinite ammo, your weapon will need to be recharged after a while, and you're able to damage enemies with the raw power of your weapon. You might notice that the bullets won't exactly be laying anything down in a timely fashion. It's when you're actively facing your first robo opponent that Diana is able to assist you with her unique tool of hacking, where the player moves along an interactive grid known as the hacking matrix, simultaneously using different face buttons while aiming down the sight of your weapon. Now moving along the matrix, you want to get to the designated EXE node, and that'll place enemies into an open state, leaving them exposed and critically vulnerable to your gunfire. You can increase and augment your fire as to be more effective against enemies with shields, or leaving them with certain status effects depending on the consideration for the path you decide to take on the grid and the nodes available, while trying to avoid enemies in real time. But you're able to reset the grid at any point if you take a dive on a move or get locked in. I didn't have too hard a time getting used to things, but it didn't quite come to me right away. I am judging this based off of the times I either ran down the moves, did the grid too slow before the enemy got too close and actually hit me, or if it didn't get too close to hit me, I dropped the grid before completing it. I also had a few resets just from locking myself out, but once I did get the hang of it, I actually found myself looking forward to doing the hacking sections, trying to get to the EXE node as fast as I could while stacking up extra chips. As for enemies, you face a few different types, with those in the demo ranging from your average iRobot to flying drones to something that your little cousin would have made in Armored Core. All of these enemies have their own differences that are communicated through their attack patterns, movement styles, and the best possible chips to use on their hacking grid. Between these skirmishes, we get a little taste of the exploration that PRAGMATA offers as well, operating in a way where the player is pushed to use their scanning function for environmental and dialogue clues to progress. You can also turn into a ball you might approach locked doors or gates that need access, or a power system that needs energy nodes that must be interacted with in order to lower or raise platforms. And your fair share of items like node chips, weapons, ammo, and helikits are totally scattered around. We also get a little more of the story bits, the most spoon-fed one being a loading screen image with some text. Others in-game being the dialogue that occurs between Hugh and Diana and the environment itself, including but not limited to the journal entries and holographic captures you find left behind by those who got left behind. This all culminates to a boss fight against the lunar base's security system, which was a real treat in terms of presentation as well as mechanical involvement and the extra techniques you implement during the fight. The mechanics, lore bits, and puzzles all kept me asking questions, little by little serving to set the stage for this world of mystery. Whatever I thought I knew only made me feel like there was more to know, foremost from a gameplay standpoint, but PRAGMATA kept doing this weird thing where it was slightly answering those questions, keeping that proverbial carrot of satisfaction dangling in front of my face. Like, Right when I thought, wow, this is a nice gameplay loop, and initially these enemies pose a threat, but how will they keep the attention? Then here comes baby big boy in a small confined space with the red lights and the alarms, and he has the AoE stomp. And I also think that it's notable that Pragmata wants you to replay after the demo, as you unlock the ability to perfect dodge after the first playthrough, alongside an alternate costume for Hugh that is custom made by our friend Diana. Whether you go fashion forward or not on your next run through, the demo does feel like what little it gives you in terms of gameplay and story is supposed to motivate you to take those fundamentals and master them. Hopefully this is only a beginning of Pragmata's layers that'll motivate us to experience it to the end once the official game releases. What's crazy is that after a few replays and not really knowing anything major about Hugh or Diana, or why they really need to escape, or what they're escaping from, how they got to the moon, etc., I continue to find myself returning to scour whatever sources I can looking for that information. April is right around the corner, but this game and Capcom have been reeking of intrigue, and it's loud, and I'm gonna need that back. This demo and Capcom are teasing, playing with expectations, and honestly it's kind of fun and refreshing to watch this happen in the modern age. There are countless stories of this going wrong, where developers or programmers or whoever in the chain gets too meta. It shows up in the game or marketed, and it is a complete turnoff to fans and newcomers. But there's a particular point in the demo where Hugh asks Diana,
"How the heck am I gonna get back to Earth?"
Hugh, I don't think you can get home from here, because this is just the demo.
And that is when I knew this was for me. I was in for something good, that this whole thing has to be intentional, and Capcom is leveraging the unknown, but with just enough familiarity to pull you in deeper. Beyond those who have the idea that Pragmata is a Mega Man game, right? I don't really know too much about that, but there are numerous videos you can look up. The demo does subtly present themes that remind me of BioShock, the Metroid Prime series, Death Stranding. Insert your favorite that game with layered stories and gameplay that blend isolation, discovery, mechanical challenge, and more ambiguity. I could be blowing smoke here, but perhaps we get a nod to the storytelling found in games like Nier Automata, where meta commentary in the game as an art piece causes us to fundamentally change our own viewpoint on life and existence as we move towards a technological world where our relationship with AI and I might be tripping, but are you picking up what I'm putting down? I mean, I especially think that while Pragmata could quite well end up being a game that doesn't take itself too seriously, I mean, I also like my fair bit of camp myself, and we are talking about the people who are responsible for this.
You can find me at the club. Have your pet neutered or stay.
Nonetheless, I don't think that it's too crazy to assume that the narrative reception, and probably this game's reception as a whole, will heavily hinge on how Hugh and Diana are depicted as characters individually and in their dynamic with each other to help enhance Pragmata's unique gameplay. It wouldn't be the first time Capcom took a swing at something wholly different from what we're used to seeing from them. Kunitsugami came out of nowhere, and whether people know it or not, it's probably one of the best examples of that ambition working out into a pretty good game. I'm not done with it, but I have been enjoying my time with it. That's a whole nother video. There's a different type of risk that comes with doing this type of thing with a new IP, but again, there is still room for Pragmata to fall flat if the story is paper thin, or shooting, hacking, combat thingy does it evolve past a certain point, especially if this presents as a lengthier game, where we get different types of weapons, like, you know what I'm saying, the beam sword things that some of our enemies use. Will we have an upgrade system or skill trees for ourselves or Diana? This Pragmata demo feels more and more like Capcom testing us again with that same ambition in a different format, trying out experimental narratives and mechanics. They've also opted for a modern release strategy, as the game will hit PS5, Steam, Xbox Series X and S, and Nintendo Switch 2 platforms. It's clear that while maintaining that mystery, they do want the game to be available to almost everyone. Sorry, PS4 and Ouya. So maybe the Pragmata demo isn't trying to be a perfect representation of all the game has to offer. I mean, it is a demo. What I do think is that the demo wants you to sit with a little uncertainty. It is not rushing to explain. It is experimental and took a little while to really flow to me, but it doesn't feel like it's doing too much. Is this Capcom's idea of Risk? Is this a game to interpret and consume? I don't even know. I just be talking, but I'm here for it. So, have you played the PRAGMATA demo? How did it make you feel? Is Capcom playing things coy, or is this exactly what the game's been missing? If you got thoughts, let me and the community know. Drop them in the comments. And if you enjoy videos like this where we talk about what games are trying to do, consider subscribing, liking, or sharing the video, or all three. As for PRAGMATA, I will be keeping a close eye on this one as we get closer to launch, along with some other titles too. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next gen.